looking for the photographer. You made it. Everyone wave to Sam. Say hi, Sam. Thanks for being here today. Okay, everybody, good morning and happy homecoming. It's Green and Gold weekend here at Tiffin University, so hence my green and gold as my other role in alumni relations. We have over 400 people registered for the weekend, so Tiffin will be busting with lots of people from out of town, whether it's alumni. It's also a family weekend, so a lot of family members come in town for the weekend to see their students and visit with their students. So thank you everybody for being here today. We're excited for today's presentation on storm spotting. But as always, we like to thank our sponsors. So we'd like to thank Andrew Calnout, our presenting sponsor. I should have these memorized, but I'll know if I forget something. Our gold sponsors, Destination Seneca County, the Seneca County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and Klaus Construction. Our silver sponsors, Mercy Health, Tiffin, and Dr. Robert Dornauer, and our friends of Life at TU, the Allen Erie Center, AVI Food Systems, Brenda Collins, Edward Jones, Elaine Daughtry, Chris Lee, Hannah Luring, and Rachel Tate, the Rotary Club of Tiffin Foundation, Lang, Gordon, Rannigan, Klaus Law Firm, and a newer sponsor, the Tiffin Women in Action, so they became a new sponsor as well. We also want to thank our tech team and the facilities in the back making this happen every week. Everybody can hear me good today? Awesome. Okay, thank you. And I see Dr. Schumacher walked in. Do you want to come and say a few words? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. And we have a very exciting program. Sorry. Okay. Today's session is storm spotting, how people and technology save lives. We're happy to have National Weather Service Cleveland Morning Coordination Meteorologist Freddie Zeigler with us to share a look into brave volunteers who are trained in storm spotting, assist professional meteorologists to make us all safer from severe weather events.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mimi Johnston, and I'm happy to be here, too. I'm really happy to work with Vicki. She is so much more organized than I am. She's really good at her job. Anyway, let me tell you about Freddie Zeigler right here, so you can all stare at him while I read his bio. We're really glad that you came. So, Freddie Zeigler's interest in weather was sparked by Hurricane David in 1979. While he was in college at Jackson State University in Mississippi, Freddie interned at the National Weather Service in Jackson and also in Tallahassee, Florida. He became a forecaster in 1998 and a senior forecaster in 2002. In 2020, Freddie was promoted to a warning coordination meteorologist at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that's NOAA, National Weather Service in Cleveland, where he coordinates the warning function of the NWS Cleveland with Northern Ohio and with Northwest Pennsylvania. Freddie is a member of the State of Ohio's Committee on Severe Weather Awareness. His job with the National Weather Service includes heading the Skywarn program, conducting spotter training, and being the voice to the local media for the National Weather Service Cleveland. Please join us in welcoming Freddie Zeigler to Life at TU.
You want to hand him your mic? And real quick, before we get started, Freddie, excuse me, I just wanted to say thank you to State Representative Gary Click. He's in the audience today. He's here for a legislative lunch, and I just saw you over there, so thank you for being here today. Okay, without further ado, Freddie.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm going to adjust my distance here. I appreciate you guys inviting me. I didn't expect a full crowd today and people that are around my age. So I really like that. The Storm Spotter program is something, thank you for the clicker. The Storm Spotter program is something that the National Weather Service, they actually do kind of an engagement with the public with each county. And each of the National Weather Service offices across the United States have about 30 to 50 counties that's kind of underneath their engagement. We have 30. We have 28 in northern Ohio and 2 in northwest Pennsylvania. The basic Skywarn Spotter program is a way for us to reach out to the community, also the emergency management, and for you guys to identify different types of storm and how to report it. I think that's one of the most important things. The training portion has not changed that much over the years, but reporting it has. Back when I came into the Weather Service, the only reporting type of vehicle as far as reporting it to the National Weather Service was telephone, ham operator. And as you know, there's a lot of different ways. A lot of the younger generation communicate in different types of ways. So it's not just a phone call. It's Twitter or X, Facebook, social media, all different types of platforms. And our agency is well equipped to handle that. I can pick up the phone, and we have people that can data mine and search through all the social media platforms to get that information. So this is actually a survey that I did in Warrensville probably about a year and a half ago, maybe a year and a month ago in August of 2023. This is a warehouse district in Warrensville Heights. Tornadoes occurred at night. You can see the collapsed walls and also the ceiling collapsed as well. So I just took a picture of here just to show the cleanup. This actually occurred almost 36 hours before, and on that particular day, we had survey teams out, but sometimes these surveys takes a long time, and I'll kind of show you exactly what that means. Oh, it's not working. There you go. How active has it been across the state of Ohio? As of right now, I talked to the Wilmington office, which is the Cincinnati office. They're the state liaison office for the state of Ohio. We counted 73 tornadoes so far as of October 3rd. The weather's been rather quiet over the last 2 days, so I think that 73 is good. That's the up-to-date total that we've had. They're based off an EF scale, EF0 being the weakest, 65 to 80 miles per hour, and the strong is 160 miles of EF5. We have not had any EF4s or EF5. We had one EF3. The one EF3 that we had was in Logan County, and that was earlier this year, believe late February, early March, where we had 3 deaths. So we don't normally get a lot of strong tornadoes. Most of our tornadoes are generally 1s and 2s. 0s, 1s, and 2s as far as strength. I want to say something logistically. The program is 2 hours long, so there is a break in the middle, so don't worry about that. I'm going to go about an hour, then take a break, and then we'll come back. So I needed to say that because I know I probably need a break as well. So the survey, you've probably seen this maybe on social media. We actually do a survey after the tornado has went through. I actually, touched down and lifted. We're looking for a begin point, an ending point, an end point. We're looking to see how wide the tornado was when it touched down at its maximum width. And also we're looking to see what type of damage. We can kind of tell, even if it doesn't hit anything that's structural, if it hits a tree, if it's a soft or a hard type wood, we can tell what the strength of that winds that occurred in that storm. So this is a storm that actually occurred across the south portion of Cleveland metro area. You can see it was 17 miles in length. That survey took about 10 hours to do, especially in an urban setting. You're going and you're actually kind of avoiding trees and rivers, crossing over rivers, crossing a lot of different obstacles as you try to do the survey. Here we go. August 24th, 25th of 2023, we had a big outbreak of tornadoes that extended all the way from Elmore all the way over to Bristolville, from northwest to northeast. 12 tornadoes that occurred in about a 3 to 4 hour span. Most of them were EF, 0s, 1s. I believe there was a 2 in Warrensville, the one I did a survey on. And you can see it covered almost 140 miles as far as doing surveys. We can't do this by just, electronically or sitting in our office. We have to go out and meet the public and talk to emergency managers and first responders to see what happened, to get the correct timing. On this event, we were doing surveys for almost 5 days. At times, the media is on us to get that information out. The politicians are on us to get that information out. Everybody's on us to get that information out. This occurs at the wrong time of the year. we could have an extended time of doing those surveys. If you remember in New York, where they had numerous tornadoes across western New York in June, they took almost 2 weeks to do surveys, and sometimes it takes that long. This is a tornado that occurred in Hancock County on March 14th. Actually, 2 storms, and I'm see if the laser works on here. On the left-hand side is reflectivity, just showing where the heaviest rain occurred, or the lightest rain in light green or blue, and the heaviest in red and white. But on the right hand shows the circulation of maybe possibly a tornado. And I'm looking at this one here that's actually moving across Findlay and entering into southwestern portion or south central Seneca County. On that particular day, we had 2 tornado warnings out. We had one that started just entering into western portion of Hancock County, and then we had another one that's in the rural areas of southwest Seneca County. And we did not have any damage or anything, but we did have a lot of eyewitnesses and social media that actually pegged that storm right there near just southwest of Tiffin and just south. You can see that tight circulation there, the reds and the greens. Greens meaning moving towards the radar. The radar is kind of over here in Cleveland. Reds moving away from the radar. Surveys take a long time. Not only we have the travel point, we have to go out to the location, conduct the survey. That data is sent in to our office, and hopefully we can get a path that we can get the information out as quickly and do the full survey as we get back to the office. So the objective as far as the spotter training, I want to cover the mission, who we are in the National Weather Service as far as in Cleveland. Why do we need spotters? Watches and warnings and what to do. I think I saw Owens back there. I don't know if you remember, I wanted to put that warning, watch and warning in there. I got it in there, so you'll see. National and local resources, thunderstorm ingredients, life cycles, types, and hazard normals. Identifying ominous clouds and parts of storm, and how to report the hazardous weather. That's very important. Our office, our mission is to protect life and property through the products that we issue. We're responsible for issuing tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, winter storm warnings, blizzard warnings. That originates from our office. We have 14 forecasters that work 24 hours a day. They work Easter, Christmas, all the holidays, New Year's Eve. That's a hard day to fill because you don't get any holiday pay, but New Year's Eve is kind of tough to cover. I mean, we have a lot of equipment. We have our radars. We also have an automated surface observing system at the airports. So we need an LTEC staff and an IT staff for all of our computers. We have 3 administrative meteorologists. I'm one of them. Gary Grice is my boss. He's the meteorologist in charge and a kind of a science officer as well. Observation program leader that covers the cooperative observation program for volunteers that want to give their information to our office, like temperature, snowfall, rainfall, stuff like that. A hydrologist for the rivers, and an administrative assistant to make sure we get paid. So, again, 122 offices across the United States. That includes Alaska, Hawaii, and the territories of Guam and Puerto Rico. Actually, 3 offices in Alaska. Actually took this picture right before sunrise. Again, these guys are working 24 hours a day. And to be quite honest, you kind of read my profile. I work 26 hours in operation. Working 24 hours, rotating shifts. 1 week you're on evening shift, 1 week you're on day shift, 1 week you're on midnight shifts. It can be hard. And to be quite honest, I wanted to stay in that position because that's where you're interrogating the storms. You're issuing the storms, you're issuing the tornado warnings, and for some reason that does give you a little power because you're issuing a product that actually moves people to take action. And I really like that. But as you get older, it does affect your body working shift work. I would want to stay in that position, but I got older and it really started affecting me. And it affects everyone differently. The National Water Service serves the state of Ohio. Cleveland and the Cincinnati office are the only two offices that are located physically in the state of Ohio, but the state of Ohio is served by 5 National Water Service offices. Pittsburgh serves East Central Ohio. National Water Service Charleston, West Virginia serves Southeast. And Northwest Indiana serves extreme northwestern Ohio. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on X now. We have a YouTube channel. We sometimes utilize it. Sometimes, yeah, there's some stuff on there, some old stuff. Of course, we have our website as well. And we have IG, Instagram. So I'm going to put a hands up. How many people have Facebook in here? Oh, pretty good number. How about IG? Instagram? Oh. See, I use Instagram to spy on my kids. Because they have left Facebook altogether. They're leaving. Twitter's X is a mess. There's a lot of stuff on there. But we have different people to come monitor those different platforms to get information. That tornado that occurred in Southwest on March 14th in southwestern portion of Seneca County, it was on X 10 minutes later. Now, we issued a warning for it, but it was on there. In years past, we used to take newspaper clippings and actually get it from the local papers and stuff like that, and it would take about a month. And maybe somebody took a picture of it, maybe somebody reported a barn damage, then we'll get the report. We're talking about 2 to 3 months later. That's how fast the technology as far as reporting has come. And that occurred all in my career. And I can't believe that. It's really fast. So why do we need spotters? We need spotters to verify what the radar is seeing. A lot of times, the radar may be showing something that may be approaching the radar. It appears to be intensifying. Well, and actually, the radar is not detecting what's going on out there. So say, for instance, there's a garbage can over there. I can see that garbage can, and it may be something that's sticking on top of it. But I probably can see it a little bit better if I'm a little bit closer. But I'm farther away. A spotter is almost like a person on that end. Say, hey, is there something on the garbage can there? Yeah, there's something on the garbage can. Then I can report it to other people where there's something on the garbage can. It's kind of the same way. They report to us as far as helping us, making that warning a stronger warning. You have that credible observation. People respond quickly or respond better as far as taking action when there's a human report rather than radar indicated a tornado. Spotter indicated a tornado, people are more likely to move. What about the radar? Talked about some limitations in kind of that example looking at the garbage can, but the radar can detect all different types of particles. Mayflies, light rain, light snow, birds taking off in the morning, fires. If you kind of watch the radar, you know how they talk, probably about 20 years ago, you talk about ground clutter. Sometimes it can detect traffic speeds. Now we have some correction to kind of help us out, but the radar can detect all type of different types of particles. As of 1994, with the new Doppler radar, now it's old, but it was new to me when I first came into the Weather Service, it can detect what's moving towards the radar and what's moving away. And it actually can detect the speed of it. So particles moving away from the radar is going to show up in red depending on where the radar is located. So let's pretend the radar on the bottom left is showing velocity. The radar is over here. So this red here and this red here is moving away from the radar. Before 1994, that's all we had. We just had the old hook echo. Well, there's something there, maybe a hook echo. Now we have circulation. And they actually changed and they actually added something called dual pole that really help us out. And you may have, if you watched the movie Twister, they talked about phase array. And that's really a game changer. I'm not sure how that's going to be rolled out, but instead of rotating around, it's a fixed platform that actually looks at a storm rather than the radar of old, or the current radar, where it's rotating around. It's a satellite dish that rotates around, and it listens to the signal as it sends it out, and it comes back. Also, the radar beam, as it goes out, the radar beam does get wider. That means it's not going to be as detailed. So something that's real close to the radar is going to be very detailed. So for this storm, oh, wow. A little sensitive. So for this storm, and I got fat fingers, that's what's going on. So this storm, it's very detailed. You see all the little, you can see the rain shaft here. You can see maybe possibly a hook here. This may be the same strength as far as the strength of the storm, but it's not as detailed as the storm that's closer. And that's important because Tiffin is quite a bit of ways from Cleveland. That's why we need spotters, and that's why we build that relationship not only with the spotters, but we build a relationship with the emergency managers as well. So the public is more likely to heed the National Weather Service warning when it's an actual report. Kind of got ahead of myself. Spotter reported a funnel cloud near Hobart. This is actually for southeastern, you change that up, southeastern Trumbull County. Ground truth. I used to work in Louisiana for about almost 20 years. If a hurricane hits Hispaniola, there's a lot of water, mudslides, damage to any of those islands, the people on the Gulf Coast really reacts. If a storm comes in there clean, doesn't hit anything, people they don't see any visuals. And I think that's cross-generational. I need visuals to see what's going on. We not only work with the emergency managers locally, but we work with CERT, PEMA, Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, Ohio Emergency Management Agency as well, ham operators that helps us out. They've been with us for at least 50 years. We also work with TV meteorologists. And the reason why we work with all these teams, what I call them teams and groups, is we want to convey that similar message. So if you're hearing a message on TV, or you're hearing it on the radio, or you're getting it on social media, that's a combination of different messages coming from different locations. That's the same message, and we want to be able to encourage that public action, to move, to make that action, so you're going into the basement when a tornado warning is issued. We want to minimize that loss, that time. 10 seconds may make a difference. What makes a good spotter? I don't know. There could be some chasers in. How many chasers are in the room? Any chasers? No, I've got one chaser. And I always say this, I'm training for you guys to be safe. I don't want you guys to go out there, after your morning coffee and go out, well, I'm going to go chasing today. No, we have almost 5,000 spotters in our network. And so if there's a storm that's in Huron, there's no need for you to get out and go chasing in the storm. If the storm is approaching your area, we may give you a call. We have different ways of kind of doing that. Hey, there may be a storm in your area. Or after the fact, hey, we had some hail in your area. Did you have any hail? We'll send out an email to probably about 30 or 40 that's across maybe southern Seneca County. Or maybe in Tiffin. Yeah, we had hail. We had dime-size hail. We had quarter-size hail. Where to get the information? We're going to talk about some different national resources, and I actually have added a little bit more. I added more of the Weather Prediction Center because I think that's important, especially what's going on the Gulf Coast and the interior effects of hurricanes. And you guys had some effects with Sandy, but I wanted to show some of the interior effects of tornadoes and flooding that's all going on down south, and we're not immune to having some of those effects here. How to identify thunderstorm features and how to submit an effective report, time, event, location. National Weather Service watches actually come from the Storm Prediction Center, the Severe Thunderstorm Watch and Tornado Watch. That's the kind of an agency that's on top of the National Weather Service. Damaging winds and large hail and isolated tornadoes, that's when those ingredients come together. That's when we probably issue a severe thunderstorm watch, tornado watch, when the conditions are there for tornadoes, damaging winds and hail. And then the flood watch or flash flood watch originates from our office. We know the terrain. We know that it's been dry or how dry it's been, or it's been wet for the last 2 days. We know the topography. We know there's a development that's now rearranging some of the flooding that may occur in the city. So we kind of know what's going on there. Severe thunderstorm warning, 58-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch hail. That's when it's imminent. That's when the radar indicated. That's when the spotter or emergency manager or police department has reported. Same with tornado. Doppler radar indicated. Confirmed reports. Flash flood warning, 6 inches or more flowing of water over the roadways, and rapid rise of water that's a threat to life and property. How we look at an outlook as far as looking at a severe weather event is the same way for all of our weather phenomena, whether it be severe storms, winter storms, hurricanes. It's the same way you look at life. If you're planning a vacation, maybe you're going out to California for next year, you check with your boss. I know some of you guys are retired, but that's what you used to do. Check with to see, I can take that time off. Okay, we got that time off. Now we'll look for plane tickets in February. We look for stuff. So we get more detail. And the same way with severe storms. We look for outlooks, 7 days out. National Weather Service hazardous weather outlook. I'll talk about that a little bit. We look for the Storm Prediction Center as well. On the day, we look for the watches, severe thunderstorm watch, flash flood watch, and tornado watch. That's when the conditions are coming together. And then as we get into the warning phase, that's when it's very important to take or heed the warnings. If a warning is issued for your location, especially a tornado warning, go to an interior room or basement. And of course, saving lives, those minutes, those seconds count. Added this in here. You may have seen this maybe on social media. They have this kind of cupcake warning or maybe a taco warning, taco watch, taco warning. So I wanted to put a local flavor in there. I guess please don't don't shoot the messenger if that's not pierogi, if that's not the ingredients for a pierogi. So this is kind of a pierogi watch where you're putting the ingredients together. You have all the ingredients. And of course, the end result is the warning. So everything's coming together. Maybe things are flooding. Maybe things are coming together. Winds are there. You have instability. So you have all the ingredients there. The final result is everything has come together. You have a kind of a observation. Maybe somebody reported a tornado. Then you have the pierogi sitting right in front of you. Now you got a warning. Now it's time to act. I don't know if I got that right. I didn't hear any objections, so I may have gotten that right. So what do you do if there's an actual severe thunderstorm watch, especially if you're a spotter? This is kind of when you become SA, situational aware of what's going on around you. In a watch situation, you want to stay tuned. You want to be ready to report to the National Weather Service and consider yourself on call. During a severe thunderstorm warning, you want to seek shelter in a sturdy building, away from windows, and I'll show you a picture of why that's important. Monitor for tornado warnings. Sometimes we issue a severe thunderstorm warning, and there may be a broad rotation that's in that storm. And you're wondering, okay, why don't you just go ahead and issue a severe tornado warning? Well, that broad rotation may have existed in that storm for quite a bit of time, and nothing has happened. When we're looking at the radar, we're looking for that tightening of what's flowing towards the radar and what's flowing away from the radar. So you could have a broad rotation that's occurring in a storm, and that happens quite often without a tornado developing. Monitored through NOAA radio. In a tornado warning, you want to go to a basement or an interior room, get in the tornado position. You want to cover your head. Most of the fatalities occur with blunt trauma, objects being blown about or landing or near your head or upper torso. Stay in place until the warning is over or expires. What about afterwards? That can be dangerous as well. I know how it, you have that itch of actually want to go out to see what's going on. You want to see if there's damage to the house, see if there's damage to the neighborhood. I get that, but you want to be careful. We're getting into the fall season. A lot of leaves fall. There could be a lot of power lines. Those leaves could be wet. The field that you're walking on, where the leaves are down, the power lines are down, could be electrified. So you could be in quite danger when you don't even know it. Structural could be very weak as well. Trees across the road, weakened structures. So I'm going to talk about the first weather resource is the Storm Prediction Center. So how many people go to our website, the National Weather Service site, from time to time? Anybody? Oh, okay. So the Storm Prediction Center is, like I said, it's the layer that's above the National Weather Service. They kind of give a guidance of what's going on for the next 7 to 8 days. Kind of a thunderstorm outlook. They're looking for winds, tornado threat, and hail. And it looks like that. So you have that website there. And understanding the risk, they actually, especially if a front is coming through, they'll actually give a risk level, how dangerous it's going to be based off the risk level of thunderstorm threats. So, of course, in the summertime, we have thunderstorms all the time. So there may be a general thunderstorm across the area. It may show up as light green. It's kind of the same way of the red light, green light, but more colors in there. Marginal isolated storms, slight means it's going to be scattered severe storms. Enhanced, numerous, widespread, that's going to be moderate, and then high. Now, since I've been here, we haven't had a high over northern Ohio. We've had a moderate this year that, to be quite honest, did not materialize. That was around April 1st. So that moderate risk did not materialize. And sometimes that happens. Maybe there's too much moisture. Maybe there's a marine layer. Maybe there's an inversion that keeps the storms from developing. So there's a lot of factors of why that may not happen. So on this particular day, this is on February 27th, 2024. This is early in the season. Before spring actually started, we had a slight risk of severe thunderstorms across northwest Ohio. In Chicago, they had an enhanced risk. On the left-hand side is the outlook. On the left-hand side is the outlook. On the right-hand side is the actual outlook with the actual reports that occurred. So we didn't have that many reports across northern Ohio. Maybe looked like maybe just south of here. Most of the reports were in the Chicago area. Early in the season, that was a hail event that occurred, big time hail that occurred there. Here's one from 2022. Just looking at how it's county oriented. They were looking at thunderstorm complex that actually developed in Iowa that swept across Ohio. And I've been in the business for long enough to kind of just visibly looking at the actual orientation, the time of year, and know that that's probably going to be a thunderstorm complex with a lot of wind. And lo and behold, we had a lot of wind on that day, packed a lot of winds, especially these winds that are 80, 90 mile per hour winds that blow down everything. Now we're going to talk about the Weather Prediction Center, and I kind of added this in here with 1 or 2 slides, but I want to extend this one a little bit because we've had some messaging problems across the South, and they could extend up here as well. And a lot of people may not go to the Weather Prediction Center's site because it's just not publicized as much as it should be publicized. Especially, it covers the excessive rain, the flooding, but it also covers heavy snow as well, and ice. So this is a very important website. I think a lot of people kind of use it for, maybe the meteorologist uses it, emergency managers, but the public probably need to be aware of this because there are some key elements of looking at these risk levels and what they mean. So instead of the 6 layer, they have 4 layers as far as the risk levels. marginal, meaning green, there's going to be isolated flash flooding possible. The middle bar there kind of shows you how that looks as far as flash flooding. In blue, the blue pixels, and then the white pixels, or excuse me, the kind of tan, or I'm not sure, my colors are bad, maybe light yellow. But you see how it increases there with slight to scattered, it's become scattered, moderate to numerous, and then high for pretty much all the areas, maybe just a few areas just showing no flooding. High-risk days are a big deal. I don't know if you remember, the southern portions of the Appalachians had a high risk of flooding occurring, and they had it out for almost 3 days before. Most of the fatalities occur in a high risk at 36%. Anytime they put a risk out, most of the deaths are occurring at 30%, 36%, 21% at moderate. Right there. 4 out of 5 flood-related damages in the high. The Weather Prediction Center high risk are a strong indicator of a potential deadly and damaging flash flood day. You can see those numbers down below, 46% again with one fatality or an injury, 23% for moderate, 62% with $1 million in damage. I'm assuming that the damage to western North Carolina is going to go up into the billions, especially with over almost 150 people that perish. This is kind of an outlook, kind of how many numbers of days that have been under high risk since they had this. This tool has been out since 2012. Northern Ohio have never had a high risk, which is a good thing. Anytime there's a high risk, we're going to get on the mountaintop and shout all the impacts that's going to occur. Look at down south, they get it a lot. Mississippi. This is where North Carolina, where some of those storms occurred of a hurricane, or the remnants of Hurricane Helene. So they had 6. They don't see it that often. This is the National Hurricane Center, and look, we are way far away from the Hurricane Center, from the Gulf Coast, from the Atlantic Coast, but we still get some effects. We can get some wind, we can get some rain, we can get tornadoes, lakeshore flooding, and heavy snow. We saw heavy snow and lakeshore flooding, heavy snow in the West Virginia, and lakeshore flooding on the east or western basin of Lake Erie. Actually did pretty good on the forecast, because that's the initial forecast from day one when it was over the western portion of the Caribbean Sea, kind of went between Yucatan and Cuba and made its way up to the Florida Bend. This is the actual path. Can't get any better than that. That path was right on. And I can tell you, working on the Gulf Coast, when we were first in that cone, we say it's going to change. That forecast was right on. As the young people, on point. But how are we doing with messaging? And that's been a challenging portion there. Inland. This is the WPC outlook. Sunday, it made landfall on Thursday night and Friday. And so on day 5, it was indicating a slight risk. Tuesday started to have a moderate risk along the Florida, and then you can see on Monday, and then Tuesday extended all the way up to the southern Appalachians, and then now on Wednesday, this is Thursday night to Friday, moderate or high risk across western South Carolina and western North Carolina there. By Thursday, the day of, and I went too fast. By the day of it, we had high risk all along Georgia and up into the mountains, southern Appalachians. Now you want to go step 2. Okay, this is the kind of the preliminary, what they showed. Almost 30 inches. And what's happening is that southerly flow that's going up those mountains is almost like a sponge being squeegeed out. All that moisture coming down on those mountains. And if you've been to you've been to the Appalachians, they like to build the roads along the stream, so a lot of those roads were washed out, bridges were washed out. It's down a long road to recovery. Mostly in North Carolina, because of the mountains, those rainfall totals were extreme. 30 inches. We only average around 35 inches of precipitation a year, 30 to 35. They get a little bit more down there, but they got a year's supply. Okay. So this is my last hurricane, Hurricane Beryl. Early in the year, in the summer, in June, it was a long path hurricane that actually started out in the middle Atlantic, crossed the Caribbean Sea, crossed Yucatan. It was weakened, and then it made its way across Texas. Then it made its way all the way up to us. A lot of times with these weak hurricanes, they can spawn a lot of tornadoes. They're disorganized, they have a lot more shear to occur with it. On that particular day, on the 8th, in northern Louisiana, they issued, I think, almost 70 tornado warnings from one office. And you can see it kind of skips, and then the Ohio Valley, they got a few more. These are all the warnings that were issued. And then it skipped us. It really depends on when the storm is approaching us and moving across us, if it's occurring in the daytime, at night. These are all evening events, afternoon, evening events, June 8th, June 9th. Then if you watch this storm, it actually kind of collapsed the circulation, and all the convection was around the storm. And then in the daytime, on June 10th, it expanded, and more tornadoes. They had more tornadoes on that day in New York than they had in any other day, and they actually got their fill for the year. 201 warnings, 61 tornadoes. That was not a synoptic storm. That was not a cold front. That was from a tropical system. So the effects kind of extend all the way up to northern Ohio. We just happened to skip that time.
How do they listen to you?
Well, because the messaging portion, as far as, hey, there's a hurricane, or the effects of the hurricane is going to be across us, I think people look at a hurricane, they say, okay, those effects are down there, and I think people carry on with the way they're living as far as, and we try to push it out as much as we can, but people are just, people, if they're not something that they see, kind of like we see the snow, they lake effect snows in the snow belt areas, 10 inches is nothing. 10 inches in northern Alabama will take them down. Take them down for a week. So it's what you're used to. Now we're getting a little bit local. I want to kind of show this. So this is from last year, I believe. We had a slight risk of excessive rainfall across north central and northeast Ohio, and a marginal risk for the rest of the areas across northern Ohio, northwest. This is the rainfall from August from, I believe this is, I want to say August 11th, but I'm not sure. August 24th of 2023. From August 23rd to 24th, almost 5 inches of rain, especially north of here. You can see most of it kind of missed Seneca County, but you're generally got about maybe 2.5 to 4 inches of rain. You were just right off the cusp of the heavy rain that was in Lorain County, where they picked up almost 5 to 7 inches there. You see some higher totals across the basin, eastern or western basin of Lake Erie, 10 inches. Luckily, it rained over there, over the fishes, which is where, okay, I'm fine with that. I don't need 10 inches of rain across the land areas. So I want to talk about our website. If you actually went to our website, it's weather.gov/CLE. And we're going to talk about when we're talking to the spotters, also when we're talking to the emergency managers. So you're going to hover your mouse over current hazards and come down to local outlook. What's going to come up is something that I'm familiar with, that I've been working with. It actually came in 1995. It was our first attempt to talk to the emergency managers and also talk to our spotters. It's very detailed on day 1, maybe detailed on day 2 and 3, but it's kind of a 7-day outlook. Give general details that include types of precipitation, timing, location, possible amounts, maybe. Updated at least twice a day, at least once a day. Like a day like this is not going to update it twice a day. It may just be once a day. And the bottom section here, where it says spotter information, that's when we're talking to you. Spotter activation may be needed. Please relay your observation of observed severe weather to the National Weather Service. And of course, that's CDC guidelines. That was during the pandemic. So I need to change that one. I need to update that one. Now we're going to talk about weather.gov, CLE, same site, but we're going to talk about the graphical hazardous weather outlook. It's experimental. It's been out since probably 2008. I kind of equate it to the time when I used to read the newspaper in the 80s, and then USA Today came out with their color spread. Remember when the USA Today came out with that? And then you had the weather on the back page, and it was all in color, and it was, man, it was great. This kind of does the same thing. It actually talks to you as far as giving the impacts for the next 7 days for different type parameters. So not only for just snow, rain, there's going to be a severe threat, but we're talking about other threats as well. Severe storms all the way out to 7 days, tornado 2 days, wind 1 day, hail 1 day, lightning all the way out to 7 days. You hover your mouse over these locations and the map will change. It will default to the highest impact of what's occurring over the next 7 days. But you also have wind that's not associated with thunderstorms. This could be synoptic winds that's behind the front. Maybe those high winds that continue to blow. That's going to be a danger for people that's moving east or west across the turnpike. Fog. We had some foggy days. It was kind of warm in late September. Some fog, so you have that fog information there out to 4 days. That may be something that we're not talking about in the hazardous weather outlook. Fire weather. We have partners that use the fire weather, and so they may be looking for when there's going to be a danger. They have set limits in there. We're getting into the winter season. Extreme cold, ice accumulation, and snow. So it has that information out to 4 days. It's actually is built on the backbone of the grids the forecasters working on in our office. So even though they may put something on day 3 that may have excessive cold, maybe day 3 or day 4, it may show up here and it shows you the different areas. And then it has a definition on the bottom. So if you scroll down, you'll see the definition. So this day is lightning, green meaning none, limited, isolated to scattered, significant, widespread. So it gives you a range on all parameters and it gives you an explanation. And that's why I kind of really like it. I tell our emergency managers, hey, just have this up here and just look at it and you can see what's going on quickly and go about your day. So how many of you guys have a no weather radio? Anybody? I got mine from Radio Shack in 1979. I was in Ashtabula last spring, and I thought Radio Shack had closed, and he said, and one of the emergency managers and the people there said, go to the mall, the Radio Shack is still there. So I guess it's an independent Radio Shack owner that owns that one, and I got my first box no weather radio. They built these no weather radios to be programmable, so you can actually have it programmable not only for Seneca County, but you can for Hancock, Wood, upstream to kind of listen, okay, I want to know what's coming towards me. Most of the storms are coming in from the west, so I want to know what's going on. And it's kind of battery backup, so if the power goes out, it still will operate, almost like an old alarm clock. We do not have an app, but there are several apps that are out there that really do a pretty good job. And I will say this about 5 years ago, that FEMA and Red Cross do a pretty good job at that, but I think a lot of the other apps are doing a pretty good job now. They have a team, and this is a route that we took possibly about maybe 12 years ago, not to do the app, and it has taken us a long time to catch up, and we have not catch up with that. So we do not have an app. We have other ways of communicating with you guys, but we do not have an app. The way we communicate with you guys is the wireless emergency alert system. Kind of sounds like the Amber Alert. So if we issue a tornado warning, you'll get the alert on your phone. and it'll stop you in your track, especially if you're in a department store, grocery store. Everybody's phones is going off. Flash flooding that has a considerable tag. Not the nuisance flooding that's covering the road, but the flooding that's getting into your homes. There's different tags on these. Catastrophic tags are the flooding that occurred in New York after Hurricane Ian, or the flooding that you saw in the southern Appalachians in western North Carolina. And a severe thunderstorm, that's been added as of August 2021. That's when we add that tag in there for those very strong destructive winds of 80 miles per hour or plus. We issue a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, but if it has that tag on it, you get the alert, you treat it like a tornado. Also for baseball-sized hail as well. So we're going to talk about thunderstorm ingredients. Northern Ohio sees about 35 to 40, maybe 45 thunderstorm days a year. So a thunderstorm day is counted as a summer thunderstorm occurs, you see lightning, you hear thunder, and it goes away. That counts as a thunderstorm day. So the thunderstorm doesn't have to occur the whole day, it just has to occur just that one period occurrence. So we see about 30 to 35, maybe 40 on average. Not that much, most of it's in the summertime. But we do see our fair share of occurrence. But as you get further south, the moisture is deeper. You get more thunderstorms. And of course, Florida has a natural peninsula that sticks out. You have the sea breeze that on both sides, you get a lot of thunderstorms. So if you've been down there in Orlando vacationing, and there was thunderstorms probably every day, just because of that, the way it's built. The Gulf Coast gets a lot of thunderstorms. Thunderstorm ingredients, first thing you need is instability. You need moisture, and you need some kind of lift. The lift, when I talk about the instability, you could have an instability where the ground is warmer or the air that's near the ground is warmer than the air that's above it. So it actually is going to try to rise up into that location that creates that lift, that movement. Moisture, of course, our source is mainly going to be from the Gulf, but some storms can bring their own moisture, or it can work with that moisture that it has. It's just a dry day today. So we have a system that's moving out on Sunday. It's going to struggle with the moisture, but if it's a strong system, it can work with the little moisture it has. Lift could be, especially here, it's going to be a frontal lift. It's not going to be a graphical lift, meaning like mountains, moving up mountains, so upslope or anything like that. And severe weather, it's got to have some kind of wind shear. It's got to have the chance for that storm to survive and live. It's got to have a southerly flow that's at the surface or near the surface, and maybe 5,000 or 6,000. It's got to be a southwest or westerly flow. We'll talk about that. Wind shear, and it's described where the wind changes with height as far as speeds and direction or directions. So this first storm is just kind of a general idea. You see these wind barbs or these wind arrows, I count them as wind barbs. Let's say it's 10 knots or 10 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. So it's not going to have that much of a lean. It's actually going to show as an updraft going into that storm and then falling down. It's going to rain itself out. So if a storm has some kind of environment that has a shear to it, a sheared environment, these wind speeds are going to show up at the surface, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20, kind of sound like hard rock, School of Hard Rock, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. But that's the way the speed shear works. At the lower levels, it's going to be less. Higher levels is going to be higher. In a directional shear, you're going to have a southerly wind that's maybe 10 or 15 knots. And then in the middle parts of the layers, you may have 35 or 40. Maybe you have higher wind speeds as you get up to 15,000, 20,000 feet. The shear is what's needed for these storms to survive in a good sheared environment. You need that for severe storms. I didn't cover this. Most of our sheared environments is usually going to be in the late winter to spring season, and then you can also get it in the actual late fall season too as well, or mid-fall season. So ordinary single cell thunderstorms, of course, you think about the summertime, you're talking about a thunderstorm that actually developed, or towering cumulus kind of just starting out. You get that nice puffy cloud. Then it gets to a mature stage. Maybe you have a updraft here, and then also downdraft, and then the dissipation stage where it's just complete downdraft, dissipating. Single cell storms are going to have that one updraft and one downdraft. Usually lasts about 20, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. It's going to rain itself out. There could be some small hail, gusty winds, and heavy rain. The main threat's going to be heavy rain, but it's going to be a very short duration. It's going to rain itself out. This is what you see out in the field. Looking at it, you see the rain shaft here. You see the cumulonimbus, so a thunderstorm right here, and it's going to rain itself out. This is what we see. Kind of thunderstorm developing across the area. They have some movement to it, but eventually they dissipate for the most part. Now, multi-cluster cells, that's when we have cells developing, getting to a mature stage, and dissipating. And if the environmental winds are lined up, you could have a training situation. So the heavy rain threat's going to be there, and there may be a flash flood threat that's downstream. So you can have a location here, there's new storms developing, and it's raining over the same location. There could be some wind and hail. Tornado threat's still somewhat low. This is what we have here, looking out over a nice healthy cornfield here. Older storms kind of dissipating, new storms getting to the strong mature stage, got the raining going on, and then these are not quite making it to the new storm and not mature stage. We got an amble there, but most of these are new storms developing. So you can have a rain in all situations, but one is decaying, one is mature, one is just get going. This is what we have out of northwester radar. A lot of these storms are developing all over the place, and that may be a summertime situation. We're looking for reports of maybe if you observe dime-sized hail, yeah, we need those reports. That's sub-severe, but we still need that report. It gives us an idea of how to gauge the radar as far as if it's a stronger storm, then we could probably warn on it. But if we see a storm that's similar in the same environment, we know that it's going to probably produce the same size hail. Multi-squall lines, those are, it's kind of a fancy name, and you guys are familiar with it, derechos. Those are when we have the thunderstorm complex that's really brushing out those winds. I went down a rabbit hole of looking at YouTube. I don't know how many guys been to YouTube, but sometimes YouTube you can find some good tools and do it yourself and get yourself in trouble. So I was, during the pandemic, I was looking at RV stuff, and I realized that this one guy, he was from Florida, he was in the Midwest, and a derecho hit, and he said one of the truckers told him, turn your rig to the northwest. He said, why? He said, because all that wind is going to be hit the front of your rig, but it's not going to turn over your rig. You're not going to have that surface. And so when those winds came, a lot of the trucks that were actually more or less going on the east-west were turned over because those northerly winds were coming in and blowing them over. Damaging winds are going to be the main threat here, some medium to large size hail. You could have some tornadoes on the leading edge. This is what you see, the actual shelf cloud that's moving in, that's approaching you. You may have seen that before. It's not a dangerous situation, but you may have seen it. This is what we see. We have a thunderstorm complex that's sweeping across. We have two of them, one that early in the evening, one later in the evening. These little boxes here, are severe thunderstorm warnings. There's some flash flood as well, large one. But if you pay attention, you may see two red boxes here, right there. Those are on the leading edge, those are the tornado warnings. You have to be kind of really paying attention to the radar to really pick those up as far as the circulation on the leading edge of those storms. Now, it's not moving that fast. Yes? Oh, yeah, I'm almost done. I'm just checking. 11 o'clock. And severe and supercells, we talk about that. All modes of severe weather are there. Most significant with tornadoes, as far as the really strong tornadoes, hail and golf ball size hail, extreme winds, and flooding. So we're going to go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back at 11:10. That's okay?
Thank you.
Okay.